Late evening lights covered the whole city. Expensive cars moved on the road, people rushed home, and tall buildings shined like gold. In one of those buildings, on the top floor, sat a young CEO named Arham. From the outside, his life looked perfect big office. Rich lifestyle, smart suits, and hundreds of people working under him. But inside, he carried a quiet emptiness. Arham always believed that success would make him happy. But success only made him busy. Every day he handled meetings, deadlines, and decisions worth millions. People respected him, even feared him, but no one really knew him. His employees saw a strict boss. Business partners saw a powerful man. But no one saw the lonely human sitting behind the desk. Arham spent his birthdays alone, his dinners alone, and even his weekends alone. His friends often joked, "Bro, you're a CEO, but your love life is zero." He smiled, but deep down, it hurt. Fame brought him money, not love. Position gave him power, not peace. One evening, while Arham was packing his laptop, his close friend Saad entered his office without knocking. Saad was the only person who spoke to him like a normal guy. "Arham, you need a break," he said. "You work like a machine. When was the last time you went on a date?" Arham laughed softly. "A date with whom? People see my money, not me." "That's why I set something up," Saad said proudly. Arham raised an eyebrow. "Set what up?" "A blind date. Tonight, she's simple, humble, not after your money." Ahum froze. A blind date? He hadn't been on a date in years. He didn't even remember how normal relationships worked. Saad continued, "Trust me. She's a caregiver. Works with elderly people. Very shy. Very honest. You two might get along." For a moment, Arham felt something he hadn't felt in a long time: hope. Maybe he could meet someone who liked him for who he was. Someone real. Someone warmed. He finally nodded. "Okay, let's try." Saad smiled. "Good, she will meet you at 8 p.m. at Rosewood Restaurant." Arham went home early. For the first time in years, he stood in front of the mirror and looked at himself like a normal man, not a CEO. He fixed his tie, sprayed perfume, carefully wrapped a small flower in a napkin. Not a big bouquet, just a single flower. Simple, like the woman he was about to meet as he drove to the restaurant. His heart beat faster than usual. It was strange. He could talk to investors easily, but one blind date made him nervous. He parked his car, stepped out, and walked toward the entrance. The staff recognized him instantly and greeted him politely. RHM chose a seat near the window. The candlelight made the restaurant warm. He checked the time: 8 p.m. He smiled to himself. "She will be here any minute," he whispered. 5 minutes passed. 10 minutes passed. 20 minutes passed. He tried to stay calm. Maybe she was shy. Maybe she was stuck in traffic. At 8:30 p.m. his phone vibrated. He grabbed it quickly, expecting a message like, "I'm coming." But instead he read, "I'm sorry. I can't come." Just one line. No explanation. No reason. Arham stared at the message for a long moment. His chest felt heavy, not because the date was canceled, but because something about the message felt sad. Almost like she didn't want to cancel, but had to. He waited 5 more minutes, hoping she would text again. She didn't. Slowly, he stood up, paid the bill, even though he hadn't eaten anything, and walked outside into the cool night air. The city suddenly felt louder, emptier. As he walked toward the parking area, he wondered, why did she cancel? Did she get scared? Did something happen? He had no answers. But destiny had its own plan for him, because in a few moments, he was about to see the real reason behind that message. And it would change his whole life. The night breeze was cool as Arham walked through the parking area, steps slow, his mind full. The sound of traffic faded behind him, and only the soft hum of streetlights remained. He held the small flower in his hand, now crushed a little. He felt foolish for being excited. Foolish for hoping. He reached his car, unlocked it, and opened the door. But before he could step inside, a soft crying sound reached his ears. He stopped. It wasn't loud. It was the kind of cry that a person tries to hide, but the pain still slips out. Arham turned slowly. On the far side of the parking lot, near an old silver car, sat a woman on the ground, her back against the vehicle, her hands covering her face. Even from a distance, he could see her shoulders shaking. Inside the car, two small children sat quietly, watching their mother through the window with worried eyes. Arham felt a pull in his chest. Something told him to walk toward her. Something told him this wasn't a normal crying. It was a breaking. He walked closer, carefully, not wanting to scare her. "Excuse me, are you okay?" he asked gently. The woman froze. She quickly wiped her tears with her sleeve and looked up. Her eyes were red, face tired, and she seemed embarrassed to even be seen. I'm fine," she said softly. "Please, ignore me." Arham frowned. "You don't seem fine." She looked down, avoiding his eyes. "I'm sorry. I just had a bad day?" Before he could ask anything else, the smallest child inside the car tapped the window and whispered, "Mommy, hungry." The woman shut her eyes tightly, as if the words hurt her. Arham's heart dropped. "Hungry? At this hour?" He stepped slightly to the side to see her face clearly. And that's when the shock hit him. He recognized her. The same eyes he saw in the picture from his friend. The same face he was supposed to meet tonight. She was his blind date. For a second his mind went blank. She also realized who he was. Her eyes widened and she quickly stood up, brushing the dust from her clothes like she had to hide her truth. I'm sorry," she whispered, unable to look at him. "I didn't want you to see me like this." Arham took a step back, confused. "You're her?" She nodded, shame covering her face. "Yes, I canceled the date. I had no choice." He waited, giving her space to speak. She took a slow, broken breath. "My babysitter didn't come. Then my car broke down. And the kids. They haven't eaten since afternoon. I tried to fix everything. I promised myself I wouldn't bother you. I didn't want you to think I'm one of those women who come with problems." Arham's chest tightened. She wasn't rude. She wasn't careless. She was just a mother trying to survive a terrible day. "What's your name?" he asked softly. "Ayla," she said. "I work as a caregiver." Caregiver. Someone who looks after old, sick, and lonely people. Someone who gives love to everyone, but receives so little in return. Arham knelt slightly to see the kids through the window. "Hi," he said kindly. The older child shyly waved. The younger one looked tired and weak. He stood again and faced Ayla. "Let me help." Immediately she shook her head. "No, please. You're a CEO. I don't want your pity." "I'm already embarrassed." "It's not pity, Arham," said calmly. "It's humanity." La's lips trembled. She looked like she wanted to believe him, but fear held her back. He pulled out his phone. "I know a mechanic nearby. I can call him." La's eyes filled with fresh tears. "I can't afford, don't worry about money right now," Arham interrupted gently. "Your kids need food. Your car needs fixing. Tonight. Let me help." She covered her mouth with her hand as silent tears fell. This time, they were tears of relief. For the first time that night, she whispered, "Thank you." And for the first time, Arham felt he wasn't alone either. The mechanic arrived within 15 minutes and began working on Ayla's old car. Arham stood a little distance away with her. While the children quietly ate the small snacks Arham had bought from a nearby shop, watching them eat so fast broke something inside him. How long had they been hungry? How many days had been like this? Alice stood with her hands tightly locked together, like she was trying to hold her world from falling apart. She kept whispering to her kids, "Slow down. Don't choke." Her voice was soft, filled with love and worry. Arham watched her silently for a moment. He had seen businesswomen, models, socialites, but none looked as tired, gentle, or real as this shy caregiver. Finally, he asked Ayla, "Do you always handle everything alone?" She let out a long breath, as if the answer weighed heavily. "Yes," she said. "It's always just me." "Where is their father?" he asked carefully. Ayla's eyes lowered. "He left 2 years ago?" He said life with kids was too heavy for him. I thought he would change, but he didn't. She swallowed hard. Since then, I never asked anyone for help, not even my family. Why? Arham asked softly. Because I chose him, she whispered. And when he left, they blamed me. Her eyes filled with tears, but she blinked them back quickly. After that, I learned to fight alone. Arham had nothing to say. How could he? He had lived with comfort, support, and a team behind him. She had lived with struggle, silence, and two little mouths depending on her. He spoke gently. And your job? Saad told me you're a caregiver. A small smile touched her lips. Yes, I work in an elderly home. I take care of old people who cannot walk, eat, or remember simple things. Some days they smile. Some days they scream. Some days they forget who I am. Her voice softened even more. But they need love, and I give them love. Arham listened closely. Her voice carried both pride and exhaustion. She continued, the job doesn't pay well, but it's the only work where my heart feels useful. I clean rooms, wash dishes, feed patients, and sometimes I hold their hands when they cry. Do you like it? Arham asked. Yes, she said, but it's hard. It's very hard, especially with kids. I wake up at 5 a.m., prepare their breakfast, pack their small bags, drop them at a neighbor's house, then go to work. After work, I rush home, cook, clean, help them with school. She paused, eyes turning watery again. And still, nothing is enough. The bills keep increasing. My savings keep decreasing. Every day is a challenge. Arham felt a heavy silence settle between them. He never imagined that behind her cancelled message was a whole world of responsibilities. Then she looked up at him, really looked at him for the first time. I canceled the date because I didn't want you to see this part of my life, she said quietly. I thought you would judge me, or feel sorry for me. She shook her head. People think being a single mother is a weakness. I didn't want you to think the same. Arham took a slow step closer. Allah, taking care of 2 kids and old patients is not weakness. It's strength. She stared at him, surprised. No one had ever said that to her. He continued, I see rich people every day. Confident people. Successful people. But not strong people. You are strong. A tear slipped from her eye before she could stop it. Why are you being so kind? She asked, her voice trembling. You don't even know me. Arham smiled softly. Maybe I want to. Allah's lips parted in shock. She looked at the ground, unable to meet his eyes. Her life had taught her to expect disappointment, not kindness. Just then, the mechanic walked toward them. Car is fixed, he said. Ayl nodded quickly, wiping her face again. But Arham knew this night was not just about a broken car. It was about a broken life. In the beginning of something neither of them had planned, Ayla thanked the mechanic with a quiet voice, and he nodded before leaving the parking lot. The night felt calmer now, but inside Ayla's heart there was still fear, confusion, and embarrassment. She held her car keys tightly, as if they were the only thing keeping her grounded. Arham stood beside her, hands in his pockets, watching her with gentle concern. You should take the kids home, he said softly. Allah nodded. Yes. It's late. She opened the car door, and the children looked up at her with sleepy eyes. She brushed their hair gently and whispered, Sit properly, okay? Their small faces relaxed when they saw her smile. Even after the longest day of her life, she still had love left for them. Arham stepped closer. Allah, before you leave, let me help you with something. She tensed immediately. Arham, you've already done enough. More than enough. It's nothing big, he said quickly. Just let the kids eat properly. I can get them something warm from the cafe nearby. But Ayla shook her head. No, please. I don't want you to think I'm using you, he sighed. I don't think that. Not even for a second. There was a short silence. The children sat quietly in the back seat, listening. Finally, the older child whispered, Mommy, I want warm food. Allah's eyes softened painfully. She glanced at Arham, unsure, ashamed and tired of fighting alone. "Okay," she whispered. "Just something small." Arham smiled, relieved. "Perfect." There is a cafe right across the street. He walked ahead with slow steps, giving her space to decide if she wanted to follow. After a moment, she locked the car and walked behind him with the kids, holding their hands tightly as if the world might take them away if she loosened her grip. Inside the cafe, warm lights and soft music created a peaceful atmosphere. The kids sat at a corner table. Allah stood behind them, too polite to sit first. Arham ordered soup, bread, and warm milk for the children. When the plates arrived, the kids ate slowly this time, comforted by the calm environment. Ayla sat quietly, watching them with gratitude shining in her tired eyes. "You really care about them?" Arham said softly. "They're my whole world," Ayla replied. Her voice trembled. "Everything I do, every sacrifice, every long night, it's all for them." Arham nodded. "I can see that." For a moment, they simply watched the kids. No words, no judgments, only a quiet understanding. Allah finally exhaled a breath she had been holding all day. Her shoulders relaxed for the first time. When the kids finished, Arham stood. "Let me walk you to your car." Allah hesitated but nodded politely. They stepped outside into the cool night. The parking lot looked different, now less lonely, less frightening. Maybe because this time she wasn't walking alone. Before she unlocked the door, she turned to Arham. "Why are you doing all this?" He looked surprised. "Because you needed help." "People don't help others like this anymore," she whispered. "Especially someone like me. A single mother with too many problems?" Arham shook his head. "Everyone has problems. But not everyone has courage." Ayla blinked, stunned by the kindness in his voice. No man had spoken to her like that in years. He continued, "Tonight wasn't a date. Not the one we planned. But maybe this was better. I gotta see who you really are." "And who do you think I am?" "A fighter," he said simply. "Someone with a pure heart." She looked away quickly, hiding the emotion rising in her eyes. No one had called her strong in a very long time. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice barely audible. The kids climbed into the car. Ella gave Arham one last shy, gentle look, full of gratitude, confusion, and something new. Hope. Then she drove away slowly, the old car humming through the quiet night. Arham stood there long after the car disappeared, realizing something unexpected had happened. He didn't just help a stranger, he met someone who touched a part of his heart he thought was long gone. The next morning, Arham sat in his office. But for the first time in years, he couldn't focus on work. The files in front of him looked blurry, the numbers on the screen made no sense, and the constant sound of typing outside his door felt louder than usual. His mind was somewhere else. It was with Ayla, her tired eyes, her shaking voice, her strength hidden under so much pain, and the way she thanked him as if no one had helped her in a long time. He leaned back in his leather chair, staring at the ceiling. He had met hundreds of people in his life, business leaders, investors, ambitious workers, but none of them stayed in his thoughts the way Ayla did. "What is happening to me?" he whispered. His phone buzzed. A message from Saad appeared. "How was the blind date?" Arham exhaled deeply. How could he explain that the blind date never happened, yet something else did? Something even more real. He typed slowly. "It didn't go as planned." Saad instantly replied, "Uh-oh. Was she rude?" Arham looked out of the window, remembering Ayla crying beside her broken car. "No," he whispered to himself. She was anything but rude. His heart felt heavy. He didn't want pity for her. He wanted understanding. He wanted to know more. Wanted to know how she survived every day with so many burdens on her shoulders. Wanted to understand the fire in her that kept her standing, and before he realized it, he stood up, grabbed his coat, and walked to the elevator. His assistant called after him. "Sir, you have a meeting in 20 minutes?" "Reschedule," Arham said firmly. The assistant blinked in shock. Arham never canceled meetings. But today, something was more important. At the elderly care home, the care home sat quietly at the end of a narrow street. The building was old, but the small garden outside showed someone loved the place. Flowers were growing, even though the soil was rough. Arham felt a strange warmth the moment he stepped inside. He approached the receptionist. "Excuse me? I'm looking for Ayla." "Ah!" The receptionist smiled. "Oh, Ayla. She's in room 12, feeding Mr. Haroon." Her tone held respect, something that told Arham Ayla wasn't just another worker here. She was valued. He walked through the hallway, noticing the soft murmur of elderly voices, the smell of medicine, and the quiet comfort of the place. When he reached room 12, he stopped at the door. Inside, Ayla was sitting beside an old man in a wheelchair. Her voice was gentle, her touch steady. She held a spoon, carefully feeding him soup. "Slowly, Mr. Haroon," she said with a warm smile. "Now chew a little, okay?" The old man laughed weakly. "You're too kind to this old body." Arham watched quietly. Something inside him melted. This wasn't a woman seeking attention or pity. This was a woman who gave love even when she had none left for herself. A woman who healed others while carrying her own wounds silently. The moment she noticed Arham standing at the door, she froze. "Ahar," she whispered, shocked. "Why are you here?" He stepped inside calmly. "I wanted to see how you work." Her cheeks turned pink. "You didn't have to. I wanted to," he said softly. Ala lowered her eyes, embarrassed. "Last night was difficult. I'm sorry you had to see that part of my life." Arham shook his head. "That wasn't a bad part, Ayla. That was the real part." She blinked quickly, confused by his kindness. He continued, "Yesterday wasn't a date. It was life showing me who you truly are." Ala's breath caught. No one had ever valued her struggles like this. Before she could speak, the old man chuckled. "You found a good woman, young man?" Ala covered her face shyly, while Arham smiled. He turned to her gently. "Can we try again? Just a simple moment. A small walk. A real conversation." She hesitated, fear and hope fighting inside her heart. But then she nodded. And in that small nod, Arham felt something shift, like a door opening. Like a new beginning he didn't know he needed. Ayla stepped outside the care home slowly, her hands trembling a little. The sun was soft that afternoon, spreading a gentle golden light across the small garden. Arham walked beside her, keeping a respectful distance, as if he didn't want to push her but still wanted to stay close. The moment felt calm, almost peaceful. They reached a quiet bench under a tree. Ala sat first, smoothing her scarf nervously. Arham sat after a moment, watching her with patient eyes. There was something new between them, something fragile, something warm. "You didn't have to come today," Ayla said softly. "I know," Arham replied. "But I wanted to." She looked down at her hands. "I thought you would forget about last night." "Most people would." Arham smiled gently. "Ala, last night showed me your strength, not your weakness." Ala's throat tightened. She had spent so long hiding her pain, so long pretending she was fine. Hearing someone acknowledge her strength felt strange and comforting. "People usually run when they see problems," she whispered. Arham shook his head. "I'm not running." They sat in silence for a moment, letting the soft breeze fill the space between them. Ala gathered her courage and asked, "Why? Why do you care?" Arham thought for a moment before answering. "Because for years, my life was all money, meetings, and empty rooms. Last night, for the first time, I felt something real. Your honesty, your courage, your love for your kids. It reminded me that life isn't just about success. It's about connection." Allah blinked quickly, surprised by his sincerity. No man had spoken to her heart like that in years. Arham continued, "I don't want to fix your life. I just want to be part of it. If you allow me." Her breath caught. She wasn't used to being offered support. She wasn't used to someone wanting her, not her strength, not her sacrifices, but her. She looked into his eyes for the first time, really looked. What she saw wasn't pity. It was softness, respect, something she had been craving without even knowing it. Just then, Ayla's phone buzzed. A smiling voice came through the speaker. "Mommy, when will you come home?" Her kids. Ala smiled sadly. "I'll come soon, sweetheart." Arham watched her, understanding how deeply her children were connected to her heart. When she ended the call, he asked gently, "Can I meet them again?" "Not today, but one day." "When you feel ready?" Ella hesitated. She had built walls around her little family. She had protected her children from disappointment, from broken promises, from people who left. Bringing someone into their world was not a small step. But when she looked at Arham, she saw something rare: patience. Finally, she whispered, "Maybe." "Yes, one day." Arham's smile widened, but soft, careful. He didn't celebrate too much, didn't overwhelm her. He just nodded. "Then one day it will be." They stood from the bench and began walking slowly back toward the care home entrance. Isla's steps felt lighter, her heart strangely hopeful. Arham walked beside her, not leading, not following, just walking alongside. When they reached her car, she turned to him. "Thank you for treating me like a person, not a problem." "And thank you," Arham replied, "for showing me a life I didn't know I was missing." Isla felt her cheeks warm. She looked away shyly. "You talk like someone who knows exactly what to say." Arham laughed softly. "Trust me, I don't. I'm learning." There was a quiet pause, gentle, unforced. Then Ayla took a deep breath. "Arham, would you like to have coffee with me sometime? A simple one. Not a date, just conversation." Arham looked stunned for a moment. Then his smile became brighter and warmer than she had ever seen. "I would love that," he said. Ayla nodded, feeling a strange excitement inside her chest. Something small, something fresh, something like a new beginning. As she got into her car, Arham stepped back and watched her drive away. But this time, she didn't disappear into the darkness of a hard night. She drove into a future where hope was waiting. And for the first time in a long time, Arham felt he was part of something meaningful. A new story had begun.